This episode is sponsored by SKS Luxury Appliances. If you've spent time around a signature kitchen suite, one thing designers notice right away is the technology. The interface feels familiar and intuitive because it's the same engineering that comes from LG, the company that produces the systems used in many of the luxury vehicles people drive today. Clients recognize it instantly and know how to navigate it, but SKS is also investing in designers through their Designer Rewards program and by sponsoring IDC. If you're specifying kitchens for serious cooks, give SKS a look. Learn more at sksappliances.com. SKS, built for people who truly love cooking. Hi, this is Laurie with To The Trade for Interior Design Community. I have Nile here. Hi, Nile.
Hi.
How's everything going?
Good. How about you?
Oh, good. We did that wedding. Ashley's wedding was this weekend. It was so
nice.
beautiful. She was so gorgeous. So it was really fun. And, there was some drama, as there always is at weddings.
I was gonna ask.
There was a lot of talk. So there was some stuff that went on during the bachelorette party, where it was kind of like one of the girls was a little nervous to be in Boston, and so she asked her husband to kind of secretly follow them and didn't tell the rest of the girls, and so they were like not cool with that. And so a lot of the guests were talking about that. That had gone on. We're like, okay, this is kid stuff. They need to work this stuff out. Now, that's a boundary. No way.
I mean, maybe he comes to Boston, stays in the hotel, and has like the iPhone sort of watch. He can watch her on his iPhone.
I mean, at least let your bride maybe know that you're following her. It's a little weird. So yeah, especially because it was like a surprise. They didn't know that was going on until after they had been having this fun. They were a group of 5 girls. Boston's not scary. I just want you to know Boston is actually really, really safe city, and they were on the Freedom Trail at like upscale bars. So it was a little weird, but I think that they're going to have to work out those types of things. And it was just kind of wonderful to see them together. They're both have their masters in engineering. So they're kind of analytical people, and it was fun to see how they planned everything. And it was just beautiful. Ashley was beautiful. The wedding was beautiful.
Oh, nice.
And we have Kimberly Kerl here. Kimberly, we love you. You're just so fun. And you and I have met a long, long time ago, but we also did that Chicago trip. And it was lovely to see. It's always lovely to see you. You're just so giving.
Happy to be here. It's so much fun. Always just to chat with you. I love catching up and hearing what your world is like right now and talking a little bit about mine.
I've been diving in. Nile and I had a long talk on this on Friday about I've been diving into doing more video content this last year. And I've always done video content, but I did it like memes and things like that. And I've been diving in, creating scripts and doing little more scripted video content. I just released one today that was about estimating, and it has been really super helpful for me. I noticed at High Point this time, and I mean, it's weird to say, but I do get kind of recognized a lot, but it's increased how many people knew me. It was like I had people stopping me like, "You're the funny lady."
Well, hey, at least that's what they're saying.
To be known as. Yeah. So we were just thinking about how we can script it. I've actually got the A&D building. There's a talk that I'm doing at Hastings at 1 p.m. on their market day in June. And that will be like how to create video content, because I just think it's underutilized by the designers, and they could really be explaining what the process looks like to potential clients and have them build that no trust factor a little bit better. So that's what I've been doing. How about you?
I've been doing a lot of the same. So we are actually undergoing a personal renovation at our house.
Ooh.
And I've been videoing the whole thing.
Oh, good.
And I've been posting multiple times a week about it. And it's so funny because if I don't post regularly about the renovation process and where it stands, I have people reach out to me and be like, I haven't seen an update in a long time, and I really need to know what's happening.
It's so fun.
So they're so invested in the story.
I love that, though. I mean, I think that that's really what is so wonderful about our community is we literally really do care about each other and we want to support each other, but sometimes it's hard because we really don't see what's really going on behind the scenes. And then if you don't know, then you can't support and you can't, and it's always so fun to see a project unfold like before your eyes. That's kind of like the dream. Was this like planned for you where you were you thinking, I'm going to be doing this project and I definitely want to create video content and a series on this? Or was that just an afterthought?
And I will say, if you've watched any of them, they're very unscripted. It's literally just kind of me and a camera phone walking around the job site saying, this is what happened, and this is what you need to look for, and this is where there was a problem, and this is how we resolved it. And so it's very, very natural, very authentic, very much just me, conversational. But I did this 2.5 years ago. We renovated our kitchen. It was a huge project. We expanded, took out walls, everything came out. And I did this same thing and people loved it. Like whether it was people within the industry or just my neighbors.
Right.
Or, family, friends. I mean, everybody just really connected with the process. And they don't, we don't do that a lot. We aren't necessarily that open with our clients and our audience. And so I think people just loved it.
I think that they do. I mean, I know I'm invested when I see things like this. So it's really it's opening people's eyes to what actually happens, because I think that the idea is one trip to Home Depot, people picking like da 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 da. I mean, I think that's the general concept that people think, like it's a one stop, you pick out everything you want to do and then it's like you just order it and you get people to install it, and that's how that is. And it's so much more complicated than that.
So many like teaching opportunities, because I have clients all the time who say, hey, can we have a pocket door here, as if it's like changing out the doorknob,
Right,
like
right.
that's all that it involves. And I'll say, sure, we can, but it's going to affect this, this, and this. So we put a pocket door in on this project, and I took a lot of time to say, okay, people, this is what a pocket door looks like. This is the framing that goes in. This is where we move the electrical. This is what, so that people could like see what a pocket door actually involves, instead of just saying, and I want this to be a pocket door.
I think that's awesome. I want to tell you, there's a little thing that years ago, when I first saw Erin sets her home, and I'm going to be going to a little conference where she's going to be. I haven't met her in person yet, so I'm really excited to meet her. I've talked to her a lot online, or a few times online, but I really always have liked her content, and I always thought it was such a good example for designers to do. But the very first video I ever saw was her pocket door explanation. Where she was like, I paint all that inner workings black so that when you move it, you're not seeing all the gears. And I was like, this is the stuff. This is the content that designers should be sharing, because it's all those little thought process things that you do automatically that people have no idea you're doing. And so when they see the bill, or when they see like how long things took you, they're thinking, I didn't know, I don't know what is this 5 hours? What is this 7 hours? What is this, 13 hours? And part of that is like our own fault. We're not explaining what is actually happening.
It is true, because I'm so used to doing this that I don't necessarily explain every thought that goes into how we got to that point. I'm just presenting the final, here, this is what I came up with. And they just all think that was so easy for you. And actually, no, it's not. And I will pull out my sketches that I'm like, these are all the ideas I didn't show you, because I determined that this is the best one.
Right.
So it was a whole process for me just to get to this point. And then I can explain in depth why, because they'll say, oh, but I really want the refrigerator over here. And I'll be like, you know what? I thought about that already. And this is why I didn't do that, and why I think you should go this way. And so, and it is, I mean, it's, we're so ingrained in the process and just getting the idea in front of the client and selling the idea that we don't always explain how we got to that. And it is a disservice to ourselves to do things that way.
I think so. And I was actually talking to someone from Studio Designer, because I'm going on they're doing a virtual conference starting tomorrow, and I'm part of that. And I have like an Ask Me Anything at 3, and you can find that on our stories if you look back, because even if you register late, you can get those videos. But anyway, I just wanted to say that in the we were talking about it from a project management standpoint. And I was saying to her, I was like, I don't know if you already got this because I don't use the project management software. I run the community. I'm not actively looking at all the new features and benefits. But to me, wouldn't it be nice if the project management software helped you send an AI summary weekly to your client that could be automated so that you don't have to think about it too much? Like that it was, what do you think, Naya? Like Material,
Well,
even if it's like partially like, this
Material
is how
kind of
my
does
projects
that.
go, send them a weekly update, or you could click like, these are the things I worked on this week, and it sent a nice summary
They
so that
do
you
actually. I mean, it's not, I don't
review.
know how detailed. Yeah, Material already does send updates. You can pick like if it's weekly or if it's daily, but they get like bullet points saying, here's what was worked on your project. Here's what happened on your project, which is nice. It's just
Yeah.
that the client has to know to look for it. And I think the disconnect for me is because I train them to get out of email because
Yeah.
I use Basecamp. I always tell them like, look, I'm no good in email. Email is just nothing but ads and, stuff that I'm not really looking at. And I need the important people in front of me. So I put you in Basecamp, right? And so they are used to everything coming from Basecamp. And then the material updates go to their email. So they never see them. But
Ah, okay.
yeah. But so I got to work around that. I got to figure that
Yeah,
out.
I wonder if they can link to Basecamp or something can
That,
happen there.
that's the thing.
Like integrations are the newest thing
It would
where
be
it
great if
like
Basecamp
integrates with
linked to stuff.
software.
Yeah, like it was Zapier or like, what is it, Zapier or whatever that thing is. It would be great if it
Yeah,
did that. I've
yeah.
been trying. Yeah, I've been pushing for that. So we'll see. We'll see.
I love it. I think that once we can automate some of this, that would make it easier
So
for
much
designers. It's like
easier.
just that last thing. And it's sometimes you're probably at the end of the week going, what did I do? What was it again that I did? And then like you're put on the spot and you're trying to come up with things and you're forgetting things because that's how a week goes. I mean, I can't remember everything I did this week and it's just, the beginning Tuesday. So I don't know everything I did yesterday, much less like it's a Friday and I've got to remember everything I did all week. So I don't know how I would love to see some sort of AI automation helping people put that like value in the face where it's kind of tracking your stuff and then you can just like give an update to keep on. There's also, Kimberly, like a big debate on Monday, sending out these notifications to clients on Fridays versus Mondays. And there's reasons that I've heard this debate multiple times. And, some people are like, I want to be there on Friday because I don't want my client going on to Pinterest and second guessing things over the weekend or wondering what's going on. And then other people like, we do it on Mondays because if we send it on Fridays, sometimes they have questions about that. And I don't want to hear from them over the weekend. So I want to have it on Monday. So I see both sides. What do you do?
So, I'm all architecture. So I'm dealing with clients from an architecture side of things. So I'm not having to update them as often as I would from an interiors perspective because we're not selecting materials until the very end of the project. And so much of it is design and construction related. But what I do use is sometimes I will use Plod and I will record, like if I've gotten to the end, I almost just use Plod as a personal note-taking device for myself. And so even as I'm going through a project, if I need to remember to discuss something with a client, I'll just I'll just turn on Plod, it'll record my notes, and then I've got that all in one place. And I can go back into it, it'll summarize it all for me, and it'll even assemble it into notes. And I at least have that either in my file or it's something I can share with the client. So I've at least documented my process, and then I can share that with them on an as needed basis, but not necessarily like weekly. At least for my process, I haven't done that.
Yeah. I think that's a debate too. Some designers are really hard line on that because they want that value in the client's face all the time. And some are just less regimented on it. And that's okay too. It's like figuring out where you feel comfortable, where your clients feel comfortable. If it works, it's not broken, right? So yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your construction process. Like, what does it look like when a client's first coming in to work with you and your firm?
I have developed a pretty strict process, and it took me years to like find the secret sauce to do this. But when I get a call or an inquiry, whether it's email, through my website, through a referral, whatever it is, we always schedule just a brief 15-minute discovery call. And there's no charge for that discovery call. That's really me finding out details about the project, where it's located, what my travel time's going to be, what their expectations are, and what the scope of work is. Once we just sort of have I have the general feel, and I get the impression that this is going to be a good client to work with, or that I might be a good fit for their project, then we put in for a meeting, an on-site initial consultation. And I do charge for that meeting. And so it varies anywhere from $375 to $600 initial consultation. And that's really for me to meet them on site. We walk through the project in detail. I'm able to visually identify where our roadblocks are going to be, how complicated the roof structure might be, how many different design schemes we might have to look at. I also insist that both, like if it's a couple, that both people be there for that meeting, because I need to see what their dynamic is.
Yeah.
I
That's
need to
good.
know,
That's
do
good.
they like get along? Is one person in, left field and the other person in right field, and how do they communicate? It helps me to also know who the decision maker is going to be. So I'm really interviewing my clients pretty heavily
That's really
behind the
good.
scenes that they don't realize. And that initial consultation tells me the world. And so I use all of that information to then develop my design services proposal. And so within 1 to 2 days of that meeting, I will have a proposal emailed to them, and it will spell out every phase of the project, give a description, give a flat fee or a range depending on the project for each phase of the project, and it's a copy of my contract.
Right.
And then
And I assume your contract is really defining what's out of scope, what's in scope, all of those
So the
factors.
proposal is heavy on the scope
Okay.
description. The contract's pretty much, it's my standard contract for every project, but then there are like boxes that are checked as to whether this project is going to include finish selections. Is it going to include construction administration, or is it just schematics and construction documents? And so the proposal is really tied to the contract because it defines the scope, and then that scope that's defined in the proposal letter is also included in the verbiage at the beginning of the contract.
Now, do you do any sort of monthly retainer in part of that, or is it broken out into phases and payments, or how do you work that?
Phases and payments. I typically do not collect a retainer, and I know people are always like, "What?" But it's worked for me. It's sort of, I've vetted these people ahead of time, so I've never been burned. Knock on wood.
Good. I'm knocking on all the wood for you.
I know. I've been doing this for 30 years. So
Great.
it almost for me establishes, it's like a trust factor. It shows them that I trust you going into this project to pay me, and I hope you trust me to like
Deliver,
reconstruct your whole house.
Yeah.
So that works for me. So what I do is I always bill at the end of each phase, and that's what I tell them. I say, you're going to be billed for the work that's been done. You're not paying for anything I haven't done up front. If we were to get through schematic designs and all of a sudden you discover a house you'd rather buy than renovate, we pause, you pay me for what I've done, and I'll help you with that next house. So that is how it works for me, is to just break it out basically into about 4 phases. And so they have 4 payments that they know what the amounts will be and when they're coming.
Good. And has that ever happened, that there's been a wrench in the situation where they're stopping the project, you're moving into something else? I mean, is that something that goes on?
It does, yeah. And it actually happens more often than you'd expect, because a lot of times clients are coming to me with that decision to make. Do we stay in this house and renovate it to be the thing we need it to be, or do we move somewhere else, or do we build a whole new house? Like the people always have those questions, and so part of that process is us determining an answer to that. And so pretty often, I mean, I would say it reminds me a lot of like love it or list it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like we're kind of going through the design process to see what's possible. And a lot of times they do continue forward with the project, and they do love it, and they stay there, and it's great. But I have had on occasions people be like, you know what, you're right. We can do all of these things and it still doesn't check all the boxes. Like
Right.
it's going to cost us this much money. If I buy a house that costs that much, I can get everything I want instead of, so there
Yeah.
is definitely a decision
We
process.
did the same thing, honestly, for our own home. We were at that point before the kids became a little older. And so we were like, there were certain things we were trying to get. My husband wanted a garage, of course. And we didn't have a garage at the time. We live in New Hampshire, it's winter. So he likes to put them in there in the winter. And so we looked at all like building the garage, doing all those things, and we ended up moving. I mean, that was our checking those boxes was we need to move. And
Sometimes.
we did think about the same thing. I'm curious if interest rates has played any role in that now too. Like people thinking I would be better off renovating here and keeping my same interest rate for my house, especially if they were in that like lovely 2 to 3% mortgage rate versus now like at a 6% rate. What do you think?
I think it's a huge factor that people consider. I
Yeah.
have clients all the time that it just financially makes more sense to keep that low interest rate,
Yeah.
stay in their house, renovate it, and then not have to go through the process of packing and moving and selling and all of the problems involved with that and having a higher interest rate at the new house.
Yeah. I have also read something recently that multifamilies are on the rise and multi-generational living is on the rise, which is really interesting to me because, my kids are a little bit older. They're in their early 20s and they did go out on their own for a minute, but then they're back. So we're not empty nesters at the currently. They both live with us. Yay.
I'm in that camp.
And I'm curious if that's what you're seeing out there too. If you're seeing some multi-generational living, people accommodating houses for family because just owning homeownership is becoming so expensive.
It is. And I'm seeing it more personally, just with people in the same life stage that I am, where you do have adult children living at home for longer periods of time so that they can just afford,
Right.
honestly, to buy a house.
Right.
And because it has gotten to be much more difficult for those first time home buyers to actually be able to afford something. And there's less and less product on the market for them as well. So I do see definitely that dynamic. I am living that dynamic at the moment as well. I have an adult son who lived in the state, but like 3 hours away, and he decided didn't like it anymore. He wanted to move back to this area, has a job here, but now he's living in my house because even though he sold his townhouse in Charleston, he's back and now he's looking for a place here. So he's living with me while he's looking for a new place. So whether it's temporary or semi-permanent, there are lots and lots of families that have multi-generational living, whether it's aging parents that need to come live with you for some period of time, whether it's kids coming, back into the nest after a certain amount of time. I've even seen, families where one family, like siblings, will have a hardship or something and they're going to move in together. So I've seen women who have lost their husbands later in life and are moving in together. So not even just multi-generational, but just mixed families are moving in together because housing costs are soaring, inflation is soaring, gas prices. I mean, with all of the hardships that we're seeing financially, families are having to get creative on the living situation.
I think so too. But with that, shouldn't you have comfort? Shouldn't you have privacy? Shouldn't you have work, spaces that make sense? And sometimes that's where your renovation costs, are worth it because you can make the space a lot more usable for the whole family. Like I was telling Niall, last time we were chatting about how our primary bathroom works and that 3 people can be in it at any given time if you needed to and have full privacy in the bathroom just the way it's designed. And so those kinds of little features where people can use it but still have the space that they need to do the things that they want with privacy is kind of essential, I would think, when you're thinking multi-generational or the family's back and living with you temporarily or more permanently depending on their financial situation.
It's a longevity issue also. I mean, when I'm designing, for example, a primary suite, addition, which that happens a lot. They'll have a lot of homes that don't have a primary suite on the main level, and we're going to add that. Even when we're adding that, I'm already talking to them about where does that placement need to be. You are going to want some separation between parents and children, or parents and parents. So we always talk about those issues. Even if it's not something that's immediately on their radar, I'm constantly bringing it up.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's a good thing for them to think about, because it's like sound, how that travels, where you want, are you going to have any privacy? So Niall has 4 kids, which means he has no privacy.
Right.
He doesn't know what privacy is.
Ever. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's that scenario. You have to, but you do have to carve something out, especially we were talking, Niall, the other day about how like having a kids lounge, sometimes that where you put the
Yep.
video games in that area
Yep.
encourages the kids to hang out in their space. To
Yeah.
give
Oh, that's
yourself
already
like,
been put into motion. So yeah. Thanks for that idea. And I mean, truthfully, I have a hiding space. My office is great. I mean, I'm in my home office now, but I actually love my real office. And it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. So it's after a certain time of day, it's key card access only. So I can go and hide there, and nobody can get to me
right?
if
Do
I really
need
want
that.
to
And
hide.
I think even COVID opened everybody's eyes to that when everybody was at
Mm,
home all the time, and
Yes.
yes.
everybody had these huge open concept floor plans, and nobody could get away
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
from anybody else. And
Finding
so,
your space to work where you were on, my kids were always on Zooms for class participation, and then I was on Zooms a lot, and my husband was on, we're all on Zooms all day. So like having that sound barrier too, and not just on top of each other, we had to get creative with where people worked, because and we each claimed a room, and then that was our room to work in, because we didn't want to hear each other. And we got to hear, Niall, the funniest thing was I got to hear the kids' school voice. I got to hear my husband's work voice, which is so different. And then I
that's
was
fun.
like, I was kind of shocked. I was like, my husband gossips a lot. I was very shocked. I don't consider Mark a gossip, but I was like, yeah, he gossips a lot at work. I was like, man, you guys talk a lot of crap.
Oh, that's cool.
I thought that was just us. Turns out, no, even the tech field,
Oh yeah, they have to have their fun. They got to have their fun.
they do. They did did you do anything like, what was it? What is something that has been still the same since COVID because of that? I feel like people are still working even now a
Probably
lot more
increased,
often
I'm
than they
sure.
used to. Yeah.
That I'm starting to see it happen less and less. Like I know people who had the ability to work completely remote. Now it's gone to like 3 days a week remote,
Right.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
2 days a week remote. Like I feel like businesses are starting to kind of ease up on just the free for all.
Mhm.
But the thing that I noticed in home design that really stuck around from COVID is the outdoor living spaces.
Oh yeah.
I think, people really began to understand being cooped up inside a house all day, every day is no fun. And
Right.
so I still see a focus on outdoor living spaces for people. It's a higher priority than I would say it used to be before COVID.
Yeah. I think I read something the other day too about pools being in real estate. Pools being more like, before it was not impacting the house price. It was actually kind of sometimes a detriment to your house price. And now it's actually, people are wanting pools again, which I thought was interesting. Usually I was always
Oh.
thinking it was like a net, like neutral kind of position for your.
Yeah, and I think that has more to do with the emphasis on health and wellness at home. I think a lot of
Right.
people are kind of, the home gym, the even the recovery spaces, saunas, steam rooms, cold plunge. I think all of those are on everybody's radar, and so that the pool, I think it's more than just the recreational, hey, somewhere for the kids to go play. It's more of a health and wellness type, and it's used for exercise, or it's a lap pool, or it's something more along those lines than just a place to cool off and play.
Right. Yeah. What else are you seeing outdoor? Is it the full kitchen built in, or are we seeing more of something more modular?
So I'm in South Carolina, and
Yeah.
we see outdoor living spaces that are almost every bit as well outfitted as your indoor. So as far as kitchens are concerned, like full outdoor kitchens, we have refrigeration, we have sinks. I've even put outdoor dishwashers
Really?
in projects,
Nice.
and grills, griddles, smokers, every type of cooking device that you can imagine, ice
Nice.
makers. I mean, like here we can live outdoors, most of the year. And
Yeah.
so we're also putting in heaters, we're putting in misters. So it's year-round outdoor living, and people are really investing heavily in the products and the cabinetry that we're putting into these spaces.
I am obsessed with outdoor furniture and
Hmm.
how beautiful it's become in the last years. I mean, we're talking, it feels as good as indoor furniture now. I mean, it's really, really comfortable. You can really spend some time in some of the outdoor pieces.
Hmm.
I've been checking out at High Point. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a game changer in the last few years. Like
Beautiful.
big
It's
brand.
beautiful and fully functional because it's all materials that weather well and
Yeah.
last forever. And so it's come a long way.
Yeah, and good price points too. Like Bernhardt has an exterior line. I mean, there are still like expensive lines, imported lines, but there are some very reasonable, and they feel very luxurious. It has that feeling of an indoor piece. In the comfort and the size, the scale, and how you use them. So it's just interesting to see. Do you think that is impacting the usage? It's certainly in the South. I don't see it as much here in New England. We definitely love our outdoor spaces, but it's so cold, most of the year here that it's definitely those 3 months of the summer.
If these spaces literally look like living rooms. Like
Yeah.
we'll have a fireplace, and the furniture, like you said, it has a very indoor feel to it. And the look of it, the scale, everything it's very plush. It's very comfortable. It's no longer just your old wicker furniture that you didn't like to sit in because it creaked every time you moved or anything like that. It's actually so comfortable. And we have ceiling fans. The lighting is layered. I mean, these spaces are every bit as detailed as indoor spaces now.
Well, it sounds like the comfort is coming from also climate control and being able to keep the bugs away and all of those
Having retractable screens and that ability to even enclose it with, the poly sheets or something, just so that it can be an all-weather space. It's kind of like glamping.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, but now we're doing it in our backyard and it's permanent.
Right.
So
Right.
everybody still wants to be very comfortable, but they love the outdoors. They love just the sounds of, the birds and water features, and we have fire features, and like it's a very relaxing place to be. It's just a great place to entertain as well because it's a space that you can pretty much keep clean. Like it's not your living room where your kids are constantly dumping their toys and stuff. It's typically a space that you can entertain in, and people can just walk around to your backyard, and it's casual and inviting, and people love it.
I love that. Is there anything else that you're noticing as far as you go to a lot of trade shows? I know. So, is there anything else that you're seeing on the horizon for consumers to pay attention to, designers to pay attention to in projects, future projects for themselves?
Well, I do think I've noticed that health and wellness trend. I
Health and
feel like
wellness, yeah.
a lot of emphasis has been put on, especially saunas. Like you never saw a sauna at a trade show, and now like every manufacturer has some type of sauna that they're introducing. Kohler, I mean, everybody's getting into the sauna game, and same
Yeah.
thing with steam rooms, cold plunge, hot elements. And so I think that health and wellness, and then of course just home gyms as well. I think there's a lot of manufacturers that are like, oh, hey, this is a whole product market that we haven't really tapped into.
Absolutely. And they can be really beautiful too, by the way. I've been checking that out. We had one, I forget the name of the brand, but we had a brand at Design Edge that was amazing. Like it was
In itself has gotten beautiful.
Yeah.
Like even like the dumbbells and the kettlebells that are
Right.
gorgeous, like
My
like
gosh.
they look like something I want to just display in my house anyway.
Right.
Mhm.
Right, it does. I mean, so there's a lot of beautiful design elements that have integrated themselves into really these spaces that used to just be cast off spaces and kind of like extra in my garage maybe space.
Yeah,
And now they're
absolutely.
very intentional.
I love that. I think that's so great. I also think that, people kind of shy away from it, but all of the smart home stuff that is really helping people live better lives, with health monitoring, temperature monitoring can really have a huge impact on the health and wellness side, just like blinds going down that keep your temperature, down in your home, or it could be internet monitoring to make sure that the temperature stays neutral, the lights come on at a certain time, or things just work easier so that your preferences are being adhered to in your own home. Those little special touches become so important in how you can live your life and make it easier to navigate your day without having to be stressed out all the time. Like, oh no, I forgot to do that, or I should do that, or those kinds of things. You don't have to think about it anymore.
Where technology really is strongest is where it kind of works in the background. Maybe it's not drawing a lot of attention to itself, but it's working in the background to make those daily changes that you'll forget about. Like you said, adjusting light levels or shades and things like that for the time of day is great.
Yeah.
And circadian rhythm, like all of these things that really do help add to technology, but it needs to be one of these things that it's programmed and you can forget about it, and it's not something that's so complicated that you just abandon it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I've seen with technology.
There are some things that I remember being in a hotel and there was an automated feature on the light, and I think it was Lutron, believe it or not. But it was like you had to pull out this little bar in the light fixture or in the switch so that the light didn't turn on in the middle of the night if you got up to go to the bathroom. All of the lights in the whole hotel room would turn on. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't handle this. I just need to go to the restroom in the middle of the night and not have everything like I'm being questioned and a police interrogation.
That's the problem. I walked into a hotel room once and I loved it because it was such a cool feature. But as soon as you open the door, like the drapes pulled open, and I was like, it was like having your own little butler there to just like kind of hello, welcome to the space. But yeah, if it's not easy to understand,
Forget
it will be abandoned.
Yeah. And I think the tech has come a long way in that. And, we were just asking the designers the other day in our polls that we like to do. One was, have you worked with an integrator? And it was yes, no, what's an integrator? And as you can imagine, 70 or 80%, I forget it was, said, what is an integrator? So now I know I have to create content about what that is.
One, like I need one. If I'm doing it, if I have somebody that's like, we want, the whole home automation and control, I'm like, okay, we're getting an integrator because you've got to get that right to, like I said, make it usable. Otherwise,
for me,
it's piecemeal,
internet, right? Yeah. I have struggled. We have an old house and we've struggled with internet since forever, and we have fiber optic internet. We have had different routers, different hubs, like different mesh networks. Like we've spent a lot of money in making the internet good here because we both work. My husband and I both work from home, so we really wanted a good internet and have spent money. And my husband's really, really tech savvy. And we still have problems with the internet going offline all the time. And so I think that those are the things, like these features that can be put into to make, especially if your house is bigger, and there's areas where the internet signal isn't getting to whatever room. It's just, it's so annoying. It drives me so crazy. And that's what an integrator can do. And I will say, just out there, Katie Bennett, that's all, the only name you need to know. Look her up.
Exactly.
You want to talk to. For sure, when you want to find an integrator, because not all integrators are the same.
Right.
I've seen some really horror stories out there where the integrator came in and was trying to change the design or, leading the customer astray and causing problems with the designer. And so you definitely want to work with someone who is trusted, that isn't going to take over the project or really interfere in how you want the project to go, that will be a team player. And there's some really, really amazing integrators, and there's some great integrators that I would not ever have on the project. So
it's that way with contractor subs,
Yeah.
everything. But I
Yeah.
will say, from a designer's perspective, we really have got to educate ourselves because you won't know if that
Yeah.
integrator is
Yeah,
misleading your client if you're not educated on the
Yeah.
systems.
exactly.
So you cannot just leave it up to the integrator. You have to know enough about the systems and how they operate and what
Ugh.
their limitations are so
Isn't
that you
that
can
hard
protect
though?
your
I mean,
client.
I was just talking to another designer about this. I like about all of the things designers have to be educated on, like how every single, you just are the masters of so many different, I mean, you just know you're the jack of all trades at that project. You have to know a little bit about flooring installation and cabinetry and hardware and plumbing and all of the things. And it just must sometimes be so annoying. You're like, I just want this house to be beautiful. And
And I do think, that's one of the things that most designers don't understand, especially if they come into the trade like as a second career or, or something, or it starts out as sort of a hobby and then they decide they can make a go of it and they don't fully understand just the sheer amount of knowledge
yeah.
that goes into every project and doing everything well. And so I've always worked really hard to make sure I had the knowledge part figured out so that I could, protect my clients and know what I'm doing on the job site. There's nothing more aggravating than walking onto a job site and immediately, the contractor looks at you and has already determined you're a designer and you don't know what you're talking
Mhm.
about. And so you're already behind the eight ball when it comes to that. And so the minute they start saying, well, we can't move that wall because of this, that, and the other, and you say, well, actually you can, you just need to, we need a jack post here and we need a new header here and you use the terminology and then they're like, okay, we're not going to be able to just tell
Right.
this woman what to do. Like
Yeah.
she actually knows what she's talking about. And so
It's like
they,
when you bring your car in for it to a mechanic and they're like, oh, this one doesn't know anything. So we can do anything. We can say it's anything. What do you think that is happening? Our industry right now is going through a lot of changes with tariffs and increased fuel costs and pricing increases. How has that worked for you? Are you maintaining the same level of projects? Do you have less projects? How is that working out for you?
the number of project inquiries slow down. So I
Okay.
think I have seen things in this area really begin to slow down. And I'm having some of my contractors call and be like, hey, do you have any jobs coming open soon that we can work on? And that, for a while it was I would call looking for contractors to build my projects and they'd be like, we're 2 years out. And now they're calling me asking if I have projects. So I do see signs of a slowdown. And what I've also told other designers and what I've heard from contractors and others in the industry is that not only is there a slowdown, but there's just people are, I don't know if it's less trusting, but people just are cautious. Our
Yeah.
clients are super cautious right now.
Yeah.
And, they want to know every different option that exists. And then they want to run that through Chat GPT to make sure you're telling them the truth. And then, so it's taking much longer for
Yeah.
people to make decisions because they want to shop everything and decide, is that really the right option? So people are just cautious right now, and it's really affecting the projects that are on the board.
That's really tough. And are you finding the same thing, Niall?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's tough because I feel like right now they need design more than ever, because we're all so stressed out
Yeah.
and we're all, the impact of the world has a weight that lays on our shoulders. And I know that has increased wellness, but actually having wellness you're using and
Mhm.
design that makes it less frustrating for your house actually is that's what I would invest in, versus
100%.
travel even at this point, because I feel like that is something that you tangibly will improve my life day over day.
Oh yeah.
That's right. Not just
Yeah.
once.
100%.
It's not a
Not
week.
just once. Yeah. You're not
Yeah.
just going on and you have a week or 2 weeks of fun. You have like you living in your home in ways that make your home feel like a vacation every day, or that
Exactly.
can partly feel like a vacation every day. Do you think that do you think that this will change soon? Are you feeling like there's any more momentum? Some people have been feeling like there's more, there is a light at the end of the tunnel in that regard.
I feel like I've been doing this job long enough that it's very cyclical. It always has been. I mean,
Yeah.
the building industry is just known for
Yeah.
waves of activity and then valleys of nothing. So like
Yeah.
this doesn't feel uncommon to me, and it doesn't frighten me because I do know it's cyclical. Like I
Right.
would actually be surprised if it didn't happen. In fact,
Right.
I was surprised that it was so strong for so long and then we didn't see a correction. So I see this really as just a market correction because we did so many projects so fast in a short period of time that now there's a little bit of fatigue,
Yeah. Yeah.
honestly, from people in the market. So it will turn around. It's just going to take a little bit of time. I mean, obviously uncertainty politically and, internationally adds to people's lack of wanting to dive into a very expensive, very tedious project. So, I mean, obviously once things begin to calm down in our just political and social circles, then things will improve on the job front as well.
Well, I have a few fun questions for you to end the podcast because we always like to get to know people a little bit more. What is the most you thing in your house right now?
In my house.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So, gosh, so I'm going to tell you the thing. So, I have a huge island in my house, and I mean it's almost 10 feet long, and it's waterfall is all marble with
Oh,
waterfall ends.
gorgeous.
No sink,
Nice.
no appliances in it, and it's my kids joke that it's my altar. And so that's like that's the mom, they're like that's mom's altar. So
Right.
that's probably the me
That's the
thing.
you
This
thing.
big statement island but it's so super useful, and
Yep.
everybody, like, it's the center of life in our family. So I'm like, I love it.
Do you have a design pet peeve?
So one of my pet peeves, I will say, is when people come to me and they're like, so I already have all these ideas on what I have to do and I've drawn it all up, but I don't want to show it to you because I don't want it to influence the way you design.
Right.
And I'm always like, that's fine. If you want to do that, I said, but you know what? You're just slowing down the process. If you show me what you have, I get an insight into how you're thinking, what's important to you, what's not important to you. And I guarantee that my design's probably not going to be the same as yours.
Yeah. Do you
And
feel like
that's
there might be
not going to
intimidated
prejudice.
to show it to a designer? Like a designer might critique it or not like it, or do they
I
just kind
think
of
they're
want
pretty
to
much
test
like,
you?
it's a test.
It's a
It is a
test.
Yeah.
test.
Oh,
It's a test.
It's a
Yeah.
test
that's
to see.
annoying.
It's kind of like I have the answer. I already know what the answer is, but I want to see if you
Yeah,
know that
exactly.
answer too. That's
Yep.
a big pet peeve because that already tells me you don't trust me to like come up
Exactly.
with the best solution for your project.
Now, if somebody opened up your camera roll right now, what would they be seeing a lot of?
They're gonna see my construction. They're gonna see pictures and videos of all the construction that's happening in my house right now.
Do you have a favorite Starbucks order? Me either. Yay! I am not a
I don't
coffee
drink coffee.
drinker.
I've maybe been to Starbucks twice in my life, and it's because somebody asked to meet there.
Yeah,
Wow.
my husband
Yeah.
loves Starbucks, but I don't even like any of the regular drinks there, like the pink drink that much. I will order that if that's like I'm stuck there for a long
Their
time and
green tea.
thirsty. Yeah, the
Yeah,
green
I'll get
tea.
the green tea is what I'll get if I'm there.
Now, last question. What's one luxury you absolutely always spend money on for you personally?
Me personally. So I will say I've learned to just quality in general over cost. So even like I will say I used to be that person that's like sale, 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 sale. And I learned pretty quick that those cheap items that I buy don't last very long. And I end up buying 3 of them instead of just buying the quality product I should have gotten from the beginning. So whether it's shoes or materials, I'm always about quality over cost.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Kimberly. We're going to make sure everyone follows you. You're amazing. And we hope that you enjoyed it here. It was so wonderful to have you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You, Niles. Good to see you. Lori,
Thank you.
good to see you again. Thanks, guys.
This episode is brought to you by Curry and Company. Designers, you know the moment. You walk into the room and the lighting stops you in your tracks. Chances are it might be Curry. Curry and Company has built its reputation on pieces that feel sculptural, collected, and timeless, from hand-finished chandeliers to statement lamps, furniture, and accessories. Their collection is top-notch. If you haven't explored their newest introductions, take a look. Visit curryandcompany.com